Hello.
Hello, hello. How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Pretty good. Love the Hawaiian style. Really great.
Thanks. Yeah. I this shirt is my Megan got it for me, and I have don't think I've ever had a shirt that has gotten universally so much love. So
Are you giving your talk in Colombia with it?
maybe I should, honestly. It's probably good. Except it's well, I guess it's spring, it's like springtime, so I don't know if they're I haven't looked at like the weather or what that's gonna be like yet, but I don't know if
I
it's
guess a
warm.
good 30-ish degrees, right? What would be the weather?
I mean, it's pretty tropical like climate, I
Yeah.
think, right? So yeah,
And I'm saying that, and today, like in Colombia, it's 18 Celsius, so 64 Fahrenheit. So not that.
not as yeah. See, that's what I was thinking because I'm like, it's moving, it's moving into just out of winter for them. So
Yep.
yeah, which will be nice if it's cool. I will not be sad about that because I we set a record here in Austin yesterday for
Okay.
the latest day in the year to break uh, Fahrenheit 3 digits.
Okay, so 30 Celsius something.
Yeah, 100. So yeah,
Yeah,
37.
30, like 100 would be body temperature, so 37 Celsius, right?
See, yeah. So it's 30. Yeah, I thought 34,
Okay,
but yeah, 30. I think so it just barely broke 100 here. So yeah, 37, maybe
okay.
38.
That's, yeah. I remember when I was in Austin, like it was 110 or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
like,
normal in the
where's the
summer.
shadow?
That's normal
Where
in the
can I?
summer, but now we're talking, October. That's like
Yeah.
very uncommon. So yeah.
No, and in Paris, we are like 30, what? No, not 13, 13 during some days to 20 today. It was sunny, everyone was outside.
Sounds
So
pretty nice.
you have twice of temperature.
Yeah.
Hey, time to bring back the barbecue and everything. The barbecue, cold beers.
Yep, exactly. So, yeah, let's see. Do we have people coming today? I didn't check the Slack, but oh yeah, I didn't see anybody posting about not being able to come. But I was hoping to get an update from Ulysses on the stuff around the uh uh Sovereign Tech Fund. I know
Oh,
Rob
yeah.
gave us that update and stuff, so I just didn't know. I wanted to see if we heard back on that. And I know Blake worked on
Cookies?
the
No,
cookie
password.
stuff. Well, that was also there was some security stuff there. So
Yeah, there was some security stuff. 501 was released also.
yeah.
I only saw that because I had to update on my side. Um, by the way, do we want to put 501 as a latest as a tag or keep the next?
I thought the plan was to keep next until we landed all the docs and stuff.
Okay.
Because those are still pending as far as I know. I should actually just go. I had a notification that I didn't get a chance to check, but let me go look at that
So,
right now.
but in the meantime, fun stuff, we breached a 33.7 million weekly download. Like we were at like 29, 28, 30, 31. So like Express popularity is still growing.
I mean, it could honestly, there's some part of this that is just people see the updates coming out and go to update when they hadn't before. I know that's, so it could be, just a temporary spike because we're being more active, than we were historically. Um,
It's still like since September basically, since the release.
but that's, I mean, that's around when we got,
We started to update new stuff, so yeah.
yeah. And a security update will definitely trigger a bunch more downloads. So it
Yep.
looks like I'm wondering if Ulysses will be able to make it. So it looks like Ulysses landed some changes on the blog post I had to leave off. So it would be great if we could publish that soon. I'm wondering what's holding it here. We've got a bunch of approvals. Oh, Jean, one of the to-dos I had. Oh, wait, did it get updated? Do we have the Open Collective then sorted? I don't.
Yeah, I have to finish it. So I'm inviting everyone, like, as this is only a few of us, I'm adding everyone. That way I won't forget. And then I will be able to publish all the stuff.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, okay. The page is live though too, so that's good. That's really all I wanted to make sure was the page was live. Oh, Jose and John, how's it going? Sorry, I was tapped away. I didn't see all join.
No problem, no problem.
Well, I was just trying to go through different things to see what we wanted to talk about today. So
Okay.
if anybody has any pressing stuff, feel free to post about it. Oh, John, also, by the way, I messaged. Oh, it says connecting audio. You might, I'm not sure if you're there, but I hope everything's good. I know, those hurricanes were oh, he dropped. Never mind. He was, I'm pretty sure, in the path of at least one of those that came through the southern US, Florida and stuff recently.
It
So
was crazy, the videos that I saw.
yeah. So I was hoping he had either gotten out or, well, he's safe. Obviously he's here, so but I hadn't chatted to him with him in a bit, so okay. So since the it looks like we're getting a lot of approvals on the release blog posts. I don't know. I would love to hear from Ulysses on why we haven't merged it, if it's just been too busy or something. Because that seems ready to go. And that at least closes one of the gaps because we didn't have all the breaking changes documented correctly. But I believe we got Blake's changes in here and addressed it mostly.
Do you want to share your screen or maybe?
I can do that, but if we don't have Ulysses, I'm not sure we're going to get an
Yeah.
update on that one. So I'm not sure we want to spend too much time
So
on
by
it.
the way, everyone was invited. I'm just missing Chris' email and Linus, I guess, for Open Collective. So yeah.
Okay. They can get it. I don't know. I can't remember. I think Chris was at the TC39.
Yeah, I think
He
he's
was
in Tokyo.
pretty,
Yeah,
yeah, he was pretty booked, I think. So he might just not have seen it.
yeah.
But yeah, if folks want to go and read that blog post and give it another thumbs up or, follow up and see.
Yep.
But he said 4 days ago, plan to land this PR today. It hasn't. So it's probably just lots of things going on. Yeah. So what else do folks have going on that we need to talk about? Do we need to start doing some planning for Also, by the way, Josh, feel free if since yours is your first time joining, if you had stuff that you wanted to hear about or whatever, and feel free to chime in and let us know. We're very open to adjusting the agenda for these to the
Sounds
folks
good.
who are here. So
Is my mic coming through okay?
yeah, sounds great.
Cool. Yeah, what interested me the most was there's a bit of discussion recently on Semver, and that was kind of what drew me into wanting to attend. So
Do you have a link to that issue just to be
yeah, let me see if I can find that. It came up, there was that low severity issue recently, and it needed a pull request because the version link or the Semver locks are set to strict, so it's only one specific version as opposed to allowing patches. Let me see if I can find the discussion really quick. That is the wrong repo. There we go. Yeah, sorry, it'll just take 1 second. There we go. So this is the related pull request, and I'm just grabbing the discussion that is spun off into. Let's see. There's a lot of comments in this thread. Let's see. I think it's in here. And discussion 279. Here we go. So here's the discussion. So the TLDR is currently Express has the explicit lock. So I think it's currently set at 071. And the idea is to switch that to caret and then the version lock so that it allows the backwards compatible changes. Lots of arguments back and forth. I can give my views, but that was kind of the thing I was interested in. So
cool. Yeah. So there's some history here. And I'm not sure from the link if the folks all in here fully have it, but I'm just reading it here. I think I skimmed this, but I just didn't have time to jump in. Okay, yeah. So I don't think it's called out here, but basically, Express is one of the older projects in the ecosystem. When V4 came out, in 2012, things were very unstable still. So the choice was made back then for only dependencies which are directly controlled by the Express project to use. And at the time, it was tildes because even back then, some NPM versions did not support the caret yet.
Yep.
Obviously, things have changed a lot since 2012. But V4 being stuck where it was, the decision was made to continue with that precedent. And then with our leadership change in the past year, we've been starting to revisit some of those things. So we discussed this on a call a while ago, and we figured for stability's sake with the ecosystem, it would be better for V4 to continue as it had been, and for V5 to start adopting caret ranges, and not just for ones that are directly controlled by the project, but for all dependencies we have. Now, this thread, I think, even calls out here. I've just got to switch back and forth between video and this. Or no, it was the PR that called it out. That the original PR was against the V5 branch, where it should be totally fine. If anybody had a problem with that, I would be surprised to update it to caret. But it looks like nobody brought that up in that thread. And I think maybe Ulysses didn't remember that we had discussed doing that and that I had done that for every dependency that we had previously updated in V5. So if you actually compare, if you do a diff from v5 to the so master to the 4.x branch, you'll notice a bunch of the dependencies have been moved to carrots.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I thought everybody had been on the same page that that was what we were going to do anytime we touched in the future a dependency in v5. But that didn't happen in this PR. So I would say, I think ideally we would follow soon with a PR that loosens that to a carrot. Um, Now I would love to see if anybody else had disagreements in here because I thought we had all sort of moved past that. But also, Josh, would love to hear your opinion. It sounded like you were pretty pro, you know, loosening.
Yeah, I definitely am, because I've seen this happen in other ecosystems like Ruby, for example, where if the library locks it down too strictly, you can run into issues where the downstream applications are impacted. Um, Being one of those downstream developers, that's the scenario I tend to run into the most. Um, so I guess my thought on it, having seen both sides of it, is having the loosest that you can support as a library tends to make the most sense, and pushing that responsibility to the application to lock it down as appropriate. Because then you run into less issues where, okay, we can't update to a patched version because one of our dependencies is locked too strictly, or say you have multiple dependencies and they have a peer one. I don't know how this works in JavaScript, but in Ruby that can cause a lot of issues where one wants a specific version, another one wants a different one. It can't resolve. Um,
Our package managers have a bit more
Flexibility on that.
well, I would say they have, it is part of the design to have multiple versions of the same package within the same dependency tree, and that is
Mhm.
pretty universally applied in the different package managers in this ecosystem. So there are cases where that cannot work. React is the prime example.
Mhm.
Things that are like singleton packages are generally frowned upon, though. So there's very few of them that are really common.
Gotcha. So
So
less of an issue for JavaScript. Yeah.
yeah, so there's less of an issue. That's but I think it sounds, to me like what I thought we had agreed was the plan aligns with what you are, hoping to see. So I
Cool.
think we can probably just jump into this issue and say carrot everything.
Cool.
Right? Yeah, I don't see any reason not to. Um, and
Sounds
again,
good.
I thought we had discussed this and agreed, but it was, there's been a lot going on. You
Mhm.
may not, have followed all the other things, but this project has been a bit of a whirlwind the past 6 months or so. And
We're
so
we're
sometimes
talking about bumping to 0.7.2 with a carrot. Is that right?
that would
We're not
be
we're
a
not talking about we're not talking about the major bump because there's a 1.0, like Blake was saying in the issue.
he did publish a 1.0, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think it's fixed in 7.2. There is a discussion in there of taking 4 to 7.2 and then
Mhm.
potentially taking 5 to 1.0, but 5 has breaking, so Blake was
Yeah,
saying maybe not.
do you have a link to that issue where Blake or whoever it was who was talking about the breaking in 1.0 talked about it?
It's in the linked issue that Josh.
Okay.
Let's see.
Where is it? I'm missing it, I think.
I see Shivam. I think we should use version 1. See this change log. So it looks like it's towards the middle of the PR.
Yep. Okay. And then here's Blake saying it would have breaking changes, but he doesn't list what those are.
Further down, it says one of the breaking changes was that it only supports Node 18 plus, but that Express 5 is in a similar boat, so it shouldn't be that impactful.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. But it sounds
There,
like there's other
Blake
stuff.
Blake called out basically that he said that basically everything in the release in the change log for 1.0 would be considered breaking basically. Um, I didn't read the full thread. I'm on mobile currently, but I mean I assume Blake would probably know more about this stuff. I don't think
Oh
we
yeah,
have him
further
really here.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is exactly what I was worried about. We were going through all the dependencies, and I had been trying to push everybody to look at the ones they wanted to land breaking changes for it to be in that last list. I was not aware Blake wanted to make breaking changes to this, or I would have probably pushed for the doing this before we did the 5.0 release, or updating everything except for the breaking changes in a 1.0 and then doing a 2.0, because now we're stuck in V5 on the O.X branch and there's no going back. Like, this seems like it was a bad ordering choice
Well,
to me.
we're talking about specifically, looks like, Josh brought up, above 7.1, we should be good for the specific CVE, right?
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure. But this is CVE wise, I think we're definitely covered. We're fine there. I think the problem here is that by releasing cookie breaking changes so early in the 5.0 life, we're now tied hands on never being able to take it for the next 3 years or whatever our, LTS is saying. And now we're going to have to be supporting cookie, two versions of cookie for that long. Had I noticed this, I probably would have pushed back pretty hard on landing this right now. I think we should have done
Oh,
this as a 2.0.
again,
So
I don't have it. I don't have it in front of me, but I don't think that we took 1.0 in V5.
I know we didn't. Josh, you have your hand. Sorry.
all good. I had a quick question. So just I'm not super familiar with how Express works internally. Is cookies something that's exposed directly to the downstream user that it
Yeah.
would actually have? Okay, so it does have breaking changes.
Yeah, most of these APIs are directly passed through in one form or another. So
Mhm.
all the things that are directly depended on by Express, Express is not masking their
Gotcha.
APIs. Mostly, it's even like to Node Core, right? Like we monkey patch the rec res from Node Core, so
Hmm.
like and pass that straight through to the user. So
So
if
it
there's
would be directly
something,
breaking. Yeah,
yeah, exactly,
that's too
yeah,
bad. Yeah.
yeah.
As
So, but
far
this
as
is
the
why. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was just gonna wrap up with as far as the carrot thing, I think as a downstream user, the 1.0 doesn't really matter a whole lot to me personally. The carrot thing is the more important part, and we can get that with either one. So, but
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think that really resolves the security and
hmm,
not blocking those security releases from immediately being adopted. So I
yeah.
think good and easy thing to do forward.
'Cause
If you
the other
are on
thing,
Express 4 though, just remember I'm saying that was for Express 5. So if you're concerned still about 4, uh that would be a slightly bigger discussion because it would be breaking from the precedent
gotcha.
within the
It
main.
does affect four a little bit, but not a ton, just because we did actually see a 7.2 come out like a couple days after that PR. So it's back to that situation of like, okay, well, there's this bug, it's patched. If you want to pull it in, then you have to do the manual update again. How much overhead is there in that? But that's kind of more of a thing for your team to decide on. So
Yeah. But yeah, so let's call that one. We're gonna move forward. I can comment in the thread and make sure that everybody's on the same page. Um, I mean, we had this conversation, so I don't know if I need to go find the snippet from the recording or something, but I'm positive we had discussed this in the past. So it's probably just an oversight. Nothing
yeah,
too
all good.
worrisome. Um, and then we have, this is one of the things we're going to need to get better about as we work as a group is how do we plan out these type of breaking changes, because as much as it's great to push forward, I actually think this decision to do these breaking changes in cookie right now is probably pretty, it's going to be tough, right? Like, we're now we can't land it in 5. We would plan to land it in 6, which we haven't even started the branch for yet. But that means that for till the end of the life cycle of 5, we're committing to security patches now on O
Sure.
dot X
Yeah.
branch, right? Which is the 15-year-old one. Like, I mean, that's what I thought we were trying to avoid. So I'm like a little bit uncertain how Blake wanted to think about this. Like he even says here, you know, we should target 6. We shouldn't try to update that in 5. But
But I know that break, making that change break the LTS philosophy, but I think this is important also and can be an exception and explain it to the community like, hey, this is important. We are doing it now because we can wait until version 6 to fix it.
yeah, I mean, that's definitely an option. With 5 being on next, I think we still have a little bit of leeway there as well. Um, I would love. Oh, hey, Chris.
Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Oh, yeah, Jean.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, even if it's next, I think the only issue is we also publish a 501. If it was only 500, I would say, hey, we could say, hey, that was a mistake. Let's even just push on top of this one. Now with a 501, it will be 2 versions. So I would still be keen to break that, but it's still breaking same there by us. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like I'll kind of reinforce that too. Please never break Semver. When you do that, it causes so many issues. So
Oh, yeah.
if it does have breaking changes, unfortunately, I think you should bump the major version. Um,
Yeah,
which
for
kind of
us,
sucks, and maybe that's like, yeah,
I mean, that just means we're not till V6, which I
Yeah.
think is probably the right thing, unless there was something in here. But looking at this list of changes, I'm not like to Jose, to your point, you saying like we could tell the community that's important. I'm not seeing anything here that I would, as a user, say that's important. I get it. You're right. That's important. Like nothing in this list stands out to me as really that meaningful. Like the null prototype, definitely not. Strict and priority lowercase strings, not at all important. And breaking, but not at all something any user would really care for, right? Max age, no. The integer check, no. Right? Like none of these things are really meeting the standard that I would say. Like to me, a standard would be it is bugged or insecure, and none of these things meet. I think either of those bars to justify an exception. It's just
Yeah,
unfortunate because we could have, you know, well, should have probably assessed this before we went with 5 or waited to make the breaking parts and Blake could have done a 1.0 that dropped 8 to 18. Like the minimal change here that could have still landed in V5 could have landed a bunch of this stuff, right? The entire TypeScript migration could have been done. And the dropping of 18 could have been done in a 1.0 that still would have been fine to pull into Express. Even though it's a breaking change and directly exposed, the things that were directly exposed wouldn't have been broken, right? So we would have been able to keep the Semver guarantee while still shipping a 1.0 that shipped his TypeScript and modernization updates and stuff, but it wouldn't have included things like the null prototype. But again, all that stuff, like I highly doubt users are asking for that. So that's the kind of stuff where I would have felt very comfortable just saying, we're not shipping that until 6, and then we're going to call that the 2.0 for cookie. I wonder if
yeah.
now that we're doing this, actually, what do people think about shipping? Do we need to have like some level of additional team checks on shipping majors for some of the sub dependencies? Like, I don't want to put artificial roadblocks here, but like I said, had I noticed this, I probably would have raised a flag and said, I don't think it's a good idea. But you know, we're all volunteers and busy and have life things. So like we can't be expected to be monitoring it all the time. But it seems like maybe some level of a major rev needs to go through one cycle of discussion on the TC call, like maybe could help us here. I don't know. How do folks think? Like, do you think this is a problem? Maybe am I overreacting? Like, also feel free to tell me that this is totally a non-issue and y'all think we're totally fine here.
I can throw my 2 cents in if you want. So I think it depends on how you want to take your strategy with major version bumps. If it's something that you're willing to do more often, then you can be a little more free with it and just say like, hey, whatever. Like, but if you are wanting to have long-term support where a major version bump has multi-year impacts, yeah, like it makes a lot of sense to say, hey, if we're going to say we're going to support this for years, we should really pause and see what's going into it and make sure we have everything so that you don't miss the small stuff like this.
Yeah, so we have work being done. Chris, I don't know if I know you were out, so I don't know if this is like your first day back from TC39, so feel free to tell me you're not ready to talk about the stuff, but I know you were working on the LTS. You were gonna put in some time to get some LTS updates landed on Jean's PR. So that would be for the main Express package. But where there is some things like this where there are pass-through APIs that we had originally discussed not trying to too tightly tie them to Express, but how that plays out when we actually land the LTS strategy, actually probably it's a little bit intertwined. Chris, I don't know if you were thinking about that.
The thought was the last time we spoke about it was that we would get the LTS strategy for Express and kind of punt on making any more solid promises on the entire ecosystem, or at least internal ecosystem of all of the different projects that Express manages. And that's mostly out of caution and not promising on things that we can't necessarily deliver, because you don't want to tell people you're going to do something and then you can't do it. So it was like a crawl, walk, run sort of thing. So yeah.
I think we're due for a discussion probably about, you bring up a good point, Wes, about the pass-through APIs. I'm in favor of major revving freely, with dependencies basically. But when that by nature, there's, when we have complete pass-through into these things and a major rev there completely changes the API, then it's harder to make the argument for as many major bumps as you want, basically, so long as you stay supporting what Express supports in terms of node versions, etc. But yeah, I don't know. These ones are unique because we had a good reason to. We were motivated to cut new majors for node version support alone, just to get just to shake the dust out with that. So yeah, I don't know what the discussion looks like about new majors to packages which are essentially just part of the Express API, because we've taken that dependency on them basically, and what we think about that essentially. Because it'd be great to fix and patch things in the library itself, and then not have to change much of the API surface of Express while doing that. But I don't think we're not quite there right.
I think part of the challenge is that until you've gone through some amount of cycle with Express itself, and the interdependency of the dependencies and their versions, it's hard to align on a policy because you just don't know how it's going to go. And so the idea was to get more, like, set the policy for Express and then get more data effectively of what those upgrades look like, or what challenges we run into, because you don't want to have these policies that sort of conflict and then you're kind of feel like your hands are tied, even though they're always going to be guidelines and not promises. You don't want to feel like, oh, we have to hesitate on this thing because we promised that we wouldn't release only under these conditions and so on. So, but once we've gotten like, an Express 6, maybe an Express 7, a year down the line, we'll see what those upgrades looked like, and what we had to do there. And that would help inform, because right now we're working off data of, you could either look at it as working off data of basically zero or data of like 10 years ago. And that's not enough to make an informed decision, as well-meaning as a strategy might be. I'm just hesitant to make those promises right now.
Yep, that makes sense to me. And I think that now that you're saying all that, that aligns with I think what we had discussed in the previous, times with this. So okay, cool. This one will be a good case study for us to look at and say, is this been difficult to maintain? Because what we've done now is we will presumably, if this doesn't need any more breaking changes and we ship uh, the 1.0 in Express 6, it means we'll be supporting two major lines on this library for 2 or 3 years. And so we'll just need to like keep tabs on whether that has been problematic for us and then decide moving forward if it warrants, a little bit more alignment between these in the future. Like for example, we major right path to regex went from 0.6 to version 8 in 4 to 5, right? So like obviously it
Yeah.
can be done,
Blake's not here, but I'll put words into his mouth, assuming to, or at least like I think Path to Regex is probably a lot better at version 8 for having had so much time to be able to rev in between and all that, basically. So point being on that is like I like the idea of cutting new majors to improve a dependency. It's just whether our support story for that dependency or what it's used in, because Path to Regex there was like Blake has to update old versions of that because of what Express took dependencies on, but nothing in between because Express didn't take dependencies in between those. So he got a lot of time to improve it and change it without having to have that burden of continuously having to take back compat changes and fix things in between versions and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think if we have a healthy maintenance story, I think it resolves all of my concerns. It's just that we hadn't had that for so long, that I'm adverse to signing up for any more additional maintenance burden. But, it sounds like, folks are pretty committed for the next couple of years to be able to support these libraries and get the ball rolling. So as long as we do that, I'm perfectly happy.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is I feel like it's a lot to say, oh, we're managing, a support cycle for all of the smaller dependencies, and now we've got to track all of those and all of their dates and how long since the last major and how long the security patches persist. And it's just, that's a lot of work, and I think that that's a lot of low value work. Ultimately, people are going to care about stability. So as long as we're not leaving folks like out in the lurch without security updates and the like, then it's going to be fine.
And just to address Josh, your comment in the chat, I mean, I think these are good ideas. Those are the kind of ones where I think we'd want issues opened. If you think there's, some particularly good API we could add as that wrapper layer, and we can then hash it out there. We try to usually, open issues because then people can think about it and reply and it's async. And then if we like it, then it would move forward. This kind of one would probably be in, a V6 thing. So it'd be a little bit out. But yeah, if you want to open an issue, I think that would be
Yeah, it's more just an idea of an alternative solution if you do run into this issue where anything that would be direct pass through if it's causing issues with the major version bumps, that could be something that would be worth putting just a very simple wrapper in front of so that you can keep that backwards compatibility and still do major version bumps on your depths. But th- there's a whole host of asterisks and gotchas on that, so totally get it.
Yeah, I think since we own this one, since we can make decisions about cookies API,
Mm-hmm.
feels less necessary. I think
Yeah.
for things like that are external dependencies like QS, maybe it would make more sense. So for example, like one of the security releases did require a patch to QS. And so
Mm-hmm.
we had to we worked with Jordan, the maintainer of that, to land the patch and get it out, which, having a partner on the other side who owns that dependency, who's really responsive and responsible,
Mm-hmm.
helps a lot. But for if there's any ones that are a little bit more, maybe we've tried to reach out before and we haven't been able to, or actually maybe the biggest example where we have to do this, like one
Mm-hmm.
thing that must land before V6 goes out is a wrapper around rec res so that we're no longer monkey patching node core, because that's one of the big things that Express is blocking. And so if we can do that, it's actually we're doing something for node core by doing that, versus us doing it to protect ourselves. We would be doing it to protect ourselves in some ways, but also it unlocks it on their side to be able to make changes that would have in the past broken us because it's a pass-through API,
Mm-hmm.
or an API that we depend on or whatever, those kind of things. So we definitely do need to do some more of that. I'm just not sure if cookie is the one we're gonna want to do that.
Totally. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense because it would be something that I'd only ever do as needed, or just have it be a paradigm up front. Anything that's a public interface is just wrapped by default. Um, but yeah, I think having the carrot for the semver is the big thing on the downstream side of it. So anything beyond that is kind of just making trade-offs, right? So
Cool. I think we can call that part a wrap. Do we have other topics? Chris, now that you're here, one of the things I had been thinking about maybe talking about was the impact project thing. It looks like we got the last thing sorted out, I thought. Is that correct?
Uh, Not really. So we had talked about the release strategy, but we never finished kind of putting it to paper. Um, but that being said, it ultimately comes down to a decision at the CPC, and there are plenty of times where not every little box has been checked for every single thing. So whatever is missing or people don't feel like is there. Um, oh, that's for onboarding for that checklist is from
Yeah, you list this is the one
coming
you
at
listed.
large.
Right, this is just the one he linked today. So I thought that was where we were going to continue. But actually, now that you say that, do we need a new issue?
Yeah, we will. But Ulysses already said as the next step, he wants to bring it to the next CPC meeting to clarify the process and practical details. Um, but there is I have to dig it up. There is a document of where the criteria are. Um,
Yeah,
and
we went through that document together, I thought, and it was this
yep.
last the last thing that I remember was that our LTS strategy or release strategy was the
Yeah, and then there were some things that were not in place even from the at-large stage, but yeah, I think it's governance and like future growth plan kind of thing, and but it's all and probably deliberately, it's all a little bit hand wavy. So ultimately, if you can get the blessing of the council, that's all that you need. All of the different criteria just are in service of that. So and yeah, so and if the CPC doesn't like what they see, it's either going to be because we're missing some criteria, in which case we can resolve that, or it's going to be some criteria that's not even written down. And then again, we can just deal with that as it comes. But I think that moving forward is fine to do that at this point.
Should some of us then plan to be at that meeting? I think it's, oh, of course.
It might be tomorrow.
It's tomorrow and I have a conflict. My team used to never have meetings at these times of these open source meetings, and now I have meetings in conflict for all of them. It's horrible. I don't think I'll be able to come to that one tomorrow. So if
I
some
should
of
be
you
at the CPC. Yeah, I should be at the CPC meeting.
and then yeah, so y'all can just lead that with them, and if they have feedback for us, we can try to address it, I guess.
Yep.
Cool. What else we got?
Ulysses had mentioned somebody tried to submit a security issue. They did so very publicly, unfortunately. But it looks like it's not a security issue because they're trying to claim there's a redos vulnerability, but a redos requires a grouping and not just a greedy matching, but also grouping. So, you know, there's not a exponential impact there. You know, all you're proving is that like, oh, if I put a longer match into a greedy regular expression, it's going to take longer. Like, yeah, of course it's going to take longer. The question is whether that can lead to a denial of service due to exponential backtracking. And in that case, it does not. So
Did we move that over into the triage repo just for posterity's sake?
I think Ulysses deleted the original issue and created an issue in, yeah, I think it's in one of the private repos, probably that one. So I don't know. I don't know anything else. I haven't really been following because I've been out.
Yeah, I think I got an email. I should just double check this while we're. I think I got an email from Doug recently too that maybe warrants following up with. Let me see.
We're recording this one, right?
Yeah.
No, just in terms of if, in case we talk about any actual.
Oh yeah, I wasn't
stuff.
going to bring up any details if there was, but actually, I'm pretty sure the email I was thinking of was the cookie thing.
I got an email from somebody talking about corporate sponsorship. I don't know why they emailed me. Makes my emails on GitHub, but I haven't followed up with them. But I just say they sent me an email and sent me a link to a website that they wanted to do a corporate sponsorship with us, basically. So I don't know if anybody else got that email. Is my point. So
I don't think I did. What we should probably be doing is probably forwarding those to. We have the list. The foundation gave us an email list. I always forget the actual. The actual address.
is it meant to be public? Maybe we don't say it right now.
No, I think this one is, there is supposed to be a public, there's a security reporting email, which I thought we had
Right.
updated
Yep.
in docs. And then there's a private, or no, it's not a private, a public
Distribution list thing.
distribution list for the project.
Cool.
But I forgot what it is, and now I'm having trouble finding it. Because the emails all look like the same as the CPC ones and stuff, so it's I can't find one. We'll have to maybe we get with Ben. But what we could probably do is if y'all are get emails like that, since your names are on the project, you can forward them. We'll find it through Ben or some other way. If I spend some time searching email, I should be able to find it. And sorry if that was loud over here.
I
Helicopter.
couldn't hear it.
Good. But basically, yeah, we could just forward those, or if folks want to, if it's something that can be public, just open an issue saying, "Hey, I got an email about this. Do we want to discuss?" If it's not can't be public though, that's where the email would come in. Or if you're not sure or whatever.
I'm just always suspect anytime I get an email from anyone. So I'm like, is this real? Who are you? But yeah,
Right.
I'll ping him back and see to learn more and then bring it to the group. But on my side, I've been out a bit lately. Just I moved last week and the hurricane and all that stuff. So I'm just now getting back online. Hurricane was fine, by the way. Totally no impacts to my area, but it definitely messed up my moving plans. So I'm gonna drop here in a minute because I need to call my ISP and ask them why I don't have internet yet, basically. So
Okay, yeah, glad you're good. Actually, when you were having trouble earlier, I started to ask and say, "Oh yeah, I'm glad you joined because I DM'd you and I hadn't heard back, so I was just making sure you were good after
yeah, I
the hurricane."
appreciate it. I posted an update just in the general channel, just updating me like I'm fine by the way. But I tell my work I'm like, so I took last week off and I was like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm alive. Don't worry about me.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay, well, yeah, we'll see you next time then, John. Glad everything's okay and we'll catch up later. We have 10 minutes left. Do we have other topics?
So, not really a topic, just open discussion. Do we want to name the version of Express? And if we want, what do we want to use? Star Trek name, Star Wars, elements from the periodic table, uh, cocktail.
Hmm. So I really like, and I would love it if we finally did get some swag here, the train Express 5 train logo ideas. What if we named them places with named them after train stations?
Oh, I do like this idea.
So like famous train stations.
And do we want to change one time train station from the US or at least America and
Uh,
one continent
good
each?
good luck finding a well-known train station in the United States. The US does not.
I
Well,
guess you would have Union Station. That's all. One. The only one I saw.
that actually might be the only really famous one. I can't think of. I have done Amtrak into Chicago, but I don't think that is even a really well-known station. I think Union Station might be our one one yes option. But I'm happy to do, we have plenty to choose from the rest of the world over. So, I think that could be a nice, fun one. Should we do we should we put a call out about the train logo thing? Do people
Yep.
like I know we've joked about it, on the calls, but we haven't really taken any action.
I can, I can open an official issue with the naming, the logo. I still have the image, so I
I
can even
think
put the image.
there is already an issue for the logo.
Oh,
Let me see if I can find it here.
oh no, that's true. I think I remember one because I think I posted.
Yeah, I think you did. Well, I just found one from 2020 that's still open. So we could reuse that. Here, I'll just list it here. But I could have sworn there was also a more recent one where you posted the images we had made.
Yep.
Or you made.
I guess ChatGPT made it.
Right. Yeah, true. True. I don't see it in here. My
I thought it was a new one.
there was definitely one. We'll have to go
Yeah.
look. But yeah, maybe we can try to take an official. I don't know if we need a vote or whatever. I mean, adopting a new logo is probably the most inconsequential of decisions.
It's huge for every corporation, like it's a new PR and everything. I'm guessing some corporations spend more in PR and a new logo than in a full team of software engineers. So
That is probably true. I'm pretty sure this is why Vercel is so popular. So saying something.
So
Um
I
so
think
yeah,
I found out why Ulysses didn't come. They mentioned the meeting was canceled today because it's a holiday today in the States and
oh,
Canada.
true.
it is.
But anyway.
I forgot, to be honest. Yeah. But yeah, that we're not being super considerate.
So for Canada, it's uh like I was going to say Thanksgiving, but it's Thanksgiving for Canada. What's the day for the US?
It's Indigenous Peoples Day or Columbus Day, depending.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's a federal bank holiday and stuff, but I think,
Okay.
you know, but yeah, I totally forgot.
What's funny is I tend to do meetings on holidays anyways, just because like, why not? But
It's easier. Less other
right.
meetings.
Yeah, then you have the stress of actually doing other stuff. So
True.
I did the 2 meetings that I actually wanted to go to today, and took the rest of the day off. But also, it's my birthday, so I was
oh,
taking
happy
No,
birthday.
and not
happy
because
Happy birthday,
birthday.
man.
thank you. So it had nothing to do with the holiday. So, um, yeah. So from the logo perspective, I really love the idea, and I think we did release V5 technically, but we haven't done any of the big marketing push because we need to get the docs squared away. We got all this other stuff to do, but this would be the time to do it. If we're gonna do a rebranding, like we should definitely try to do it soon. And then I don't know if we want to like do redesign. We would need volunteers to volunteer to do anything like updating the stuff on the website and all that. I wouldn't want to commit to that, but we could, if we had a good logo, we could take our first check from Hero Devs and print off a series of t-shirts or something to take to conferences, which I think would be nice. I don't think we're gonna get it in time for
I
the
can try to
timeline.
have some of them for not confuse you, to have some printed in Paris quickly.
It would be kind of fun. I don't know. Anyway, I would love
Yeah.
swag, but if we how much effort do we want to put into the logo endeavor? Like, do we want to just go? Are we good going with the ChatGPT thing? Should we put a call out to the ecosystem and say, hey, we're serious here. We're going to pick a new logo. If we did that, it would take way too long to get anything ready for
Yeah.
Node EU.
Like the ChatGPT one, we can even say that's the unofficial one from the Express Forward initiative that may be becoming a new one for Express 5, but then we still keep time and everything. And like we were all involved in the Forward initiative, so we can call it that just to as a quick way to say, hey, we have something. Not
I like
official one,
that.
we can change it, update. So
I like that a lot. If could you repost that image?
yep,
Um,
I will put it in
can
Slack.
find the if we can find the issue, I swear somebody opened up
No,
an
no,
issue.
I posted it somewhere. Or was it maybe not an issue, but did we discuss that in the TC channel and we posted it in a thread somewhere
That could be it.
because I remember I sent it. Mm.
So we got so many threads in here. I don't know. Search for logo.
I got to run, but thanks everybody.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to attend anytime.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye. Yeah, it's here, Jean. I found it.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, I could totally see us just saying this is the Express 5. It's even got the nice 5 in the background.
yeah. Do you want to repost the link in the TC?
I'm gonna just download it and I'm gonna repost it in the public channel.
Okay.
And just then, you can.
So, and maybe for the sake of the conversation, do we want to show all the previous attempts in the Zoom call?
I think we could probably. I think before we start printing anything or doing anything that's going to cost
Oh,
us
yeah.
money that we're going to, fund or whatever, we should probably have with a few folks on more than just the those of us here. Like we should get, Ulysses and Blake at least, and John back on. Um, but I really like this one, and I could totally see us just saying, "Well, we just went and had fun and made it."
Yeah.
So I think this is great. Frankly, maybe we don't need to worry about it. And we could just get some printed and just call it
Right.
our little fun V5 project. And
Fine.
anybody who wants one, we can figure out how to get him to them.
Yeah. We should be able to find some stuff.
Okay. Then I think that's good. And then we can figure out. I do think it needs some rebranding at some point, but we got a lot of stuff to do
Yep.
that's arguably more important.
Mm.
Um, that said, I am totally gonna try to make something special out of this logo. I'm looking at it right now and I have a really cool idea. So,
Cool. We can have multiple variation of that. So
yeah. Yeah, but I've got some ideas. Anyway. Uh okay, it sounded like we didn't really have a whole lot of other topics, so are we good just calling it there
yep.
now and then we can pick back up next week. Actually, will I be traveling?
Yeah, I was going to say you're traveling in 2 weeks for NotConf/flying to Europe and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was just checking the schedule. I think I'll actually be home for next week's Wednesday time. So I'll probably be able to do that. But then yeah, the following one. Should we who is anybody else going to NodeConf?
Yep.
You are? Yeah. Jose
No,
and
not
Chris?
this time.
No? Chris, I feel like you said no. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we could just get, together. Maybe we could even do something during the collab summit or something just to see if folks want to discuss or whatever. But I'm not sure there's much to do in this time frame. Um,
Mm.
so, but it would be nice at some point to see about trying to get what I would really love to see is a really clear, concrete list of the things that Node Core would like to see out of us and the changes that we make so that we can prioritize those for V6. Because that's the one thing that I know the monkey patching thing is the number one issue, but it would be nice, and that's where the collab summit I thought might be a nice forum to like say, hey, we are planning our roadmap for the next few things. Like, what are the things you want from us? Like, what are the things we can change that would make, core be able to move forward here? And try to get into the details, because I think some of these things are going to be nitty-gritty details. Like, even if we don't monkey patch, we still might have dependencies on certain APIs that core has been wanting to change. So making sure we know exactly what those are, I think would be really helpful. And that's where I was thinking something at the collab summit could be nice. But again, I'm not sure if we're like, I don't think we as a group are even ready for that. Like, we've got a lot of house cleaning still
So
left.
we do have a lot of house cleaning, but I guess the collab summit is like, I think the day are over at five something. So we could even take 1 hour, one of the 2 days, just to keep everyone, hey, this is an official Node.js Collaborator Summit, but Express discussion stuff, and see who would be interested to just discuss and from their feedback on Node.core and some specific part. So I'm guessing it would be Matteo, James, some of the people that know, or at least work on some stuff and still maintain it. So could be nice to have their feedback on that.
Yeah. I would love to get their feedback. Yeah, okay. So maybe we just try to do something unofficial while we're there and just say, hey, we just want to make sure we're doing the things that help you all the most, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Cool.
okay, sweet.
See you all next time. See you
Thank you.
in Dublin for the people joining. Do you need wine and cheese, Wes?
I mean,
Again? Always.
never gonna turn that down, but I don't overdo it.
Yeah.
I remember last time I was like I could barely fit it in my bag. But
Chartreuse then.
that stuff is good.
Did you finish the two
Don't
bottle?
I think I have finished. I think I have some of the concentrate left, because
Okay.
that's not, you don't like, you're not pouring yourself a
No.
drink of that on a regular basis. But yeah, I shared it with a couple of our friends here, and they were like, "What is this stuff? It's so good." I also told you my teammate Sasta is from
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
town right below the mountain there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were chit-chatting about it too. Yeah. Yeah, that stuff is awesome.
Great.
Cool. Okay, well, talk to y'all later.
Yep.
Bye.